Hello and welcome to the second episode of Custom Track Review, where we are officially now a series instead of just a random video that I made. As always, I am your host, Justin, but you can call me Justin Wheel for short. Before we jump into the tracks, I have a few updates, so if you want to jump straight into the tracks, here's the time code. So, I'm glad the first video was received so well, as it was very different from what I've made previously. I didn't really try and make it funny, I just tried reviewing the tracks, which was enjoyable for me, but I might try and make future episodes more entertaining and a comedical aspect if I decide to make more of these videos. Furthermore, I have an actual microphone. It's a Snowball that was shipped recently, so I have a good mic instead of my cheap earbud microphone. I also have a webcam, but I probably won't use it in this series as it wouldn't really fit, but I might live stream with it on my Twitch, just MKW, go follow me if you haven't already. Anyways, let's get through these tracks, we don't have all day, and today we are looking at 9 custom tracks and 1 texture rack. The first track we're going to look at is Pac-Track by ANoob. The overview says it's based on the game Pac-Man. It includes Pac-Man over the Chain Chomp model and Ghost over car models. I saw the beta in JHFR, but it was updated to version 1 recently, so I thought I'd see how it has improved since the original was promising. The track file was named Pac-Track v1.ses, but the page says to put it over slot 3.2, which is Koopa Cape, so I'm not sure why it was named that, but whatever. The file name for Koopa Cape is water_course.ses in case anybody else is going to download it after I play it. So the track has definitely improved since I saw it in its beta form in JHFR. I like the Pac-Man Chain Chomp and I think that's really clever, but the ghost cars could use some work as they look a little sloppy if you ask me. I feel they're a little tall and would probably look better if it was a more retro style of it instead of the kind of realistic sense that it has at the moment. The textures, while not the greatest, work fine for the track, and this also has really good theming with the shortcut of the controller and the track itself having the pellet things that Pac-Man eats. I don't know what to call them. The track layout is also pretty good here as it's smooth and has a good number of shortcuts. There's also good item box placement here. Other than the ghost cars and some textures, the only other issue I can think of is the dots that Pac-Man eat look kind of weird and don't really add anything to the course, which is confusing on a first run and whatnot. That's about it for this track. In reality, it's a lot more simple than it may seem. As for my rating, I'll give the track a 7.5 out of 10. While I could see it working well in a pack... Thank you. No, thank you. Oh yeah, while I could see it work well in some CT packs, mainly how the ghost cars look is what brings this down, as it just doesn't look the greatest, and a retro version of it would probably make a lot more sense, since it's not really car-sized either with weird hitboxes. The textures could improve, I believe, as well, but it has a great layout and theme to it. The second track we're going to look at is Magmatic Sanctuary by ZPL Gaming, Spyro, and TZ. Version 1 was released on August 11th, but there was an update fixing bugs 3 days after by Charon, so that's the version I'll be playing. The overview says it takes place on a volcanic island surrounded by a stronghold, volcano, and lava, with thwomps and lava pillars scattered throughout the track. There's not much else to say, so let's just dive in. So the track. Is it good? Yes. Is it great? Yes. Is it a 10 out of 10? I'll get to that in a moment, but all I can say is incredible theming, really nice textures, and a really good layout. This is like a Nintendo tier track. It's what the new kids would call fire. Okay, sorry. But man, all the textures look real nice. The shortcuts on the track feel perfect in difficulty with some of them, and there's one very hard one I pulled off that I'm not sure was intentional, but still saves time and looks really cool. Downsides, honestly, there aren't a lot. There's a glitch I discovered where you can go through the track and end up farther down than intended, but that's a really easy fix and it doesn't cause any ultra shortcuts, nor is it faster due to how many key checkpoints there are on here. Some other downsides, well, it's a little buggy when it comes to some of the textures, mainly this grass area, but that's not that big of an issue. And that's about it for the bad parts of the track. It's all just very minor nitpicks in my opinion that can be fixed in a quick update. As for my rating, it should come as no surprise, but this track gets a 10 out of 10. It screams CTGP worthy, and if it does make it in, I'd be very intrigued on the world record progression as this has pretty difficult strats for it. ZPL Gaming and Spyro are really good at making tracks, and while I'm not certain about TZ, him being included here does pique my interest, and I'm curious as to what he has in store for his next tracks. I think he mainly did KCL and model updates though, I'm not positive on that. The third track we're going to look at is Lava Prison by Sasuke, Spyro, Ferg, and ZPL Gaming. Version 1 for this track was also released on August 11th, but there was a KMP update by Weem a day later, so that's the version we will be playing. Anyways, the overview says it takes place in an abandoned volcanic stronghold that the players briefly drive through and afterwards land into a courtyard with a split path. This is also Spyro's first time creating vertex colors using Blender. Let's lock ourselves into this prison. I'm a comedian.
Oh, what? Oh!
I think I have a more controversial opinion this time around. I'm not a huge fan of this track, but it's not terrible. This track looks really nice and has really good textures going for it, with a good KMP as well. But I'm just not really a fan of the layout of the track. First of all, not really a prison, but I'm not talking Microsoft names that don't fit the track. Secondly, the first turn is not really that good with it being two 90-degree angles where you can't wheelie diagonally, but you also can't charge mini turbos on either of the drifts. Thirdly, the garden or grassy section is kind of confusing because it has drivable walls that launch you, and it looks at a place with the grass and the water in the middle of it because, well, this is a lava prison, right? I feel it would have been interesting to be riding around a prison rather than just randomly in some like courtyard or whatever it is. Finally, most of the track looks plain and boring. When you're not riding in what I can only assume is a prison or in what I think is the courtyard of the prison, you're driving on just a lava road with nothing in the background except for a few rocks. While yes, this is a small and simple track, it also feels like it goes on for too long because of how wide the road it can feel and how long the drop is mainly. While yeah, I'm not a huge fan, I have to give credit because the textures look really nice and the background in some parts, mainly the prison, look really interesting and it functions well. I just wish that you could maybe ride in a prison as opposed to on some random lava road around it. For my rating, I'll give the track a 7 out of 10. Yeah, it's lower than what most people might expect, but I just have a few too many gripes with the track to give it any higher of a rating. The fourth track we're going to look at is Red Sector A by RetroStyle12, a returning creator from the first episode. RetroStyle12 actually remade the track Red Sector A and it was originally created by Trent Rez. It was also updated a day before this remake. Side note, ZPL Gaming was actually the one who updated it, not Trent. The only version I played since writing the script is Trent's old version of the track, and I wasn't too impressed with it, mainly because it was like a 9-year-old track that didn't function that well. However, I haven't seen ZPL's update yet, nor RetroStyle12's remake, but we're only looking at the remake today. The overview says that Retro 12 released a remake a day after ZBL Gaming released an update of the track. The map was traced in SketchUp for an accurate track layout. Let's section ourselves onto the track. Okay, I'll stop doing that. The file for the track was called Red Sector A, so I put it over Yoshi Falls. Perfect fit.
Oh, what?
Well, that certainly was Red Sector A, just with a small visual update, and it plays better than the original. Honestly, I was really looking forward to the track as I thought it would have been a more interesting take on it, but it really just looks like he took the track, fixed the model a bit, and put it into Rainbow Road. I think Retro 12 should stop pumping out tracks so frequently and put more time into every single track, because I feel he has the potential to make great tracks, but they just look uninspired, like he was forced to make it. Also, some of the item box placements are off. I feel I have to mention that. For my rating, I'm gonna have to give it a 5 out of 10. While certainly better than the original, I feel Retro 12 could have expanded upon the idea and added more interesting elements instead of just cleaning the model up a bit. It feels less like a remake and more like an update to me, which isn't what I was hoping for. The fifth track we're going to look at is SNES Rainbow Road by Bearably and ZPL Gaming. The overview says it takes place above a lake, just like in Mario Kart 8. Version 1 uses a road model from Mario Kart 7, while version 2 uses a road model from Mario Kart 8. Version 1 was created on August 13th, but they released version 2 5 days later, so we will be playing that version. For some reason, there are 8 separate versions of SNES Rainbow Road, but whatever, I won't judge. Let's just look at the track.
Oh, what? No? Oh! That's it!
Here comes another unpopular opinion, probably. Before I elaborate, this track looks really good and is definitely the best looking one out of all 8 of them, but I don't think it's the best one. First thing, some of my problems with it. The star bits and rocks in the background, there are just way too many. It's very overwhelming if I'm going to be honest, and I might like version 1 a little more than the second version. Not by a huge amount, but as you see, I'm playing both of the showcase videos right now, and it just looks not better graphically, but it feels it makes more sense in Mario Kart Wii for the first version. I feel that if you make a track based off SNES Rainbow Road though, like how there are 8 versions of the track on the wiki, you're already putting yourself at a disadvantage. The track layout is very simple and it's not really interesting to make the track, although I'll give credit to ZPL and Bearably for their work here as the track looks really good and is the best looking one obviously. The 3 really good ones though are X Blue 98s for a more retro style version of the track, Though it doesn't look the best, I like it for the retro charm. This track for that new style of Mario Kart with the 8th installment, but my personal favorite is the remake by Yoshi74, Wexos, and Maxi. While it doesn't look as good as ZPL and Bearably's, of course, it's just so much more interesting with like deviations in the y-axis. Though ZPL and Bearably's track do have slight tilts to it, this remake takes it to a whole new level. With interesting objects to surround the course, I just find it to be the most fun to play. While not a 10 out of 10, the track gets points in a creative aspect, and I still find it to be the best one. But I'm not rating that remake, I'm rating ZPL and Bearably's remake. So what do I give it? I give it an 8.5 out of 10. It serves its purpose as the best looking SNES Rainbow Road, it just doesn't interest me enough for the full 10 out of 10, and I think they could remove some of the rocks and star bits in the background. The 6th track we're going to look at is Frigid Freeze-way by ZPL Gaming. Yep, this guy's been everywhere recently. The overview says it's just a track that's a sequel to Frigid Waterfalls. I played that one in JHFR and I thought it was alright, but it was very simple and a little boring. Anyways, let's play the track. ZPL has done it again. He's made a good course, and this time all by himself, with a few people he credits, but just ignore it. I really love the textures and visuals, and also the layout here is great. There are problems with the track, of course, but I'm very impressed with this one, and I have a feeling it'll go under the radar compared to some of the other really good tracks released recently. Alright, so problems. This one is pretty big in my opinion, and there is no arrow on this part of the course, and it's really confusing on a first run to try and figure out where to go. Yes, once you learn it, it's very easy, but tracks should be intuitive for a beginner to learn relatively easily. Also, the tricks on this part of the track are pretty sketchy and could use some fixing. There's also some fall boundary that should probably be closer though. I know that's an easy fix, so not a big issue. Finally, this one ramp is a little confusing sometimes, as what you're supposed to land on is a bit slanted, but it's also not that big of an issue, though I feel a fix would make this track perfect. That's all the nitpicks I have for this track. I really do love the visuals and layout, and this has good theming. Maybe some more background elements could strengthen the theme as well, but it's nice as it is. I think ZPL has been making tracks for like a year, and he's already become really good at it. I'm very impressed. As for the rating, this track gets a 9.5 out of 10. While yes, I love the track for the visuals and layout, like I've said quite a few times, there's still the issues I mentioned with some of them feeling like they really need to be fixed. The 7th track we're going to look at is Honeybee Hideout by TacoJosh. It was first released on August 5th, but there was an update 10 days later, so we will play that version. The overview of the track says it's based around a beehive. Racers drive through various sections, including a tree branch section similar to Maple Treeway, through honeycombs and many twists and turns. The track uses sectors from the Wii U game Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, specifically from the level 5A Beehive Brawl. The track also includes sting bees from 3DS Honeybee Hive, which are hazards throughout the track. The download for this one, and only this one, is a zip file, which is cool, and the readme text file is spelled like the Mii's on the Wii. Haha, classic. Anyways, it just says what the update did, what it's supposed to replace, and some credits. Let's go on to the track now. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie right now. This is definitely the sweetest track of them all. Where's my laugh track?
Oh, haha, I get it.
For real though, this is an incredible track. And when I say incredible, I mean as incredible as my YouTube channel. That's how amazing it is. It flows so smooth. It's almost like, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, it flows as smooth as honey.
Get on with the review!
This track not only manages to look like Nintendo made it, but it also looks like none of the Nintendo tracks in the game. Like really, does the track look like any of them? Maybe Maple Tree Lay, but only for a few sections. The best custom tracks are ones with creative ideas that look like Nintendo made them, but don't depend heavily on textures and ideas from the original tracks. This is a phenomenal custom track with its model, the objects like the flying bees, the shortcuts, the cool looking item boxes, the backgrounds, every single texture in this track, everything. As for the problems with this track, I don't have any. I have none for this track. Not even a nitpick. Actually, well, there's this one little problem here. I'm not sure why this is just a wall, but it doesn't really matter, man. The rating I give this track is a 10 out of 10, obviously. This is just insanely great. It screams CTGP even louder than Magmatic Sanctuary does, and I think it's safe to say I'm excited for what TacoJosh has in store for us next. The 8th track we're going to look at is Cataquack Beach by Ishiyama263. The overview says the track was originally known as Poihana Beach when the track was previewed in October 2013. It would then be finished almost 6 years later. Yikes, that's almost as old as I am. Apparently the track will only work on slot 3.1 and 3.2, which is Daisy Circuit and Koopa Cape, so I put it under Daisy Circuit since they named the SES file the name of the track. For anybody else wanting to play it, the Daisy Circuit file name is senior_chorus.scs.
No? Oh, what? Oh!
So, here's the thing. This track has a pretty good layout. Not great, has its problems in that aspect. The textures look nice with good items, though it reeks of a track desperately trying to get on to rate that custom track. Don't think I didn't notice the dancers and the yachts. Like, yeah, it's good. But there's one problem with this track that I'm so confused by that I just have to remove marks for it because it makes no sense. This track has one key checkpoint, and it's the finish line. Like, what? You've made a good looking track that's functional, but only made one key checkpoint. I'm so confused. Anyways, I tried finding an ultra shortcut, but I can't seem to find one. Like, I'm certain there is one, but I won't remove any marks since I didn't actually find one. What I did find though, or what I should say Koopa Troopa found, was this shortcut while I was recording it, which kind of lapped because there was only one key checkpoint. I'll show it to you. You need a shroom, but you can just go through the ground, and it makes you a very generous respawn. Two more things about this track. One, no exploration. Troy and Justin are disappointed, I can already tell. Just make the boardwalk a road, man. And one more thing, the single key checkpoint wasn't the only problem with this track. There's also a camera that is so really glitched that it almost crashed my Wii. Like, if you guys saw the intro to the track, it did not stop. I had to press A because it was taking so long with the cameras. And at the end of the track, it slowed down my console so hard. This track has just a horrendous KMP, but only in terms of the checkpoints and cameras. Everything else is fine, which is kind of sad considering I'll have to give this a lower rating because of those problems. The rating I'm giving it, 6 out of 10. I don't want to be too lenient on the KMP problems, but I also don't want to be too hard on it. The track is nice, just the KMP desperately needs fixing. The ninth and final track we're going to look at is Desert Badlands, also made by Ishiyama263. The overview just says it's a custom track made by him, so yeah. Credits to Wheelie 2 for some help. Alright, apparently the track is in beta, so I won't go too hard in it. Let's just get into it. I put it under Dry Dry Desert, which is desert_course for the rest of you.
No! Oh, what? That's it!
So I guess Wheelie helped with the checkpoints, as there are actually more than one key checkpoint this time around. The model looks nice, it drives pretty well, though I'm a little worn out on desert style custom tracks as they just feel lazy to me and redundant at this point. Also, there's space for a shortcut that's blocked by this random temple thing. I'm not sure why you can't go through it for a shortcut. It would make a lot more sense. There's also an unintentional shortcut on this one, though it makes more sense than the other one did. It's honestly not that big of an issue. The item boxes on the off-road is also a little weird. The question is there still a problem with the camera? Yes, there still is. And Wheelie was credited for help. It's so easy just to get rid of the cameras. Whatever, I'll have to remove marks here too for the cameras, but not so much since that really is the only major issue here. So what do I rate the custom track? 6.5 out of 10. Nice model and layout, though I find desert tracks lazy, not a fan of the lack of shortcut in that one spot, and camera needs fixing. I feel Ishiyama could make a pretty good track if he just knew how to take out all the cameras. And for the texture hack, we're going to look at N64 Slender Parkway, made by TheNinjaKingOW and PuertoMK. The overview just says it changes the textures to be darker, so let's take a look at this spooky texture. To be perfectly honest, I'm not really sure why I included this. The idea of a parkway that's like the one in the Slenderman games is pretty good, and I would want to see that idea executed to its fullest potential. However, this texture fact feels a little lazy. Like, why are the grass bushes still green, and why can I still see across the lake? Why is the lake so bright, and why is the cave section also so bright? I feel like that should be the spookiest part, and it looks like what it does normally. Interesting concept, but feels lazily executed, though I do understand it wouldn't be the easiest, and at that point you'd probably have to jump into changing the course model, though honestly I feel like it could work. The rating I would give the texture is 4.5 out of 10. I don't use textures, and if I did, I probably wouldn't use this one, as it just feels like it could have been executed much better, though I would love to see an update of it. That wraps it up for this custom track review. If you want more, tell me, because I'm not sure if I'm going to continue doing this or not. I'm kind of having a content crisis on my channel if you couldn't already tell. Until next time, peace.